Halloween is celebrated by many people around the globe every year. Personally, I don't celebrate it, but during October, horror games are put in the spotlight, and I'm making a horror game, so why not make a Halloween monster to go with it? So I'm pretty new to Blender, and I had no clue as to how to make a pumpkin completely from scratch. So I hopped onto YouTube and found this brilliant tutorial, which I will be linking down below in case you want to use it. But anyway, after messing around for a short while, I had myself a decent looking pumpkin. So I got onto modeling a stem, which was actually pretty straightforward. I simply created a cube and added a subdivision modifier, and then extruded and rotated it a number of times until I had this sweet looking stem. With my pumpkin complete, I brought the models into Roblox to see how they'd look on one of my monsters. I desperately didn't want to model a full face for the pumpkin, as I wasn't sure exactly how to do that. But after messing around for a while, I realized that it was definitely needed. So I imported the pumpkin I just made back into Blender, and got to work fashioning some basic jack-o'-lantern facial features. I created a triangle and positioned it as the nose for the pumpkin, and then I got to work on the eyes. I used a mirror modifier to copy one eye onto the other side of the pumpkin's face, and once I was happy with how the eyes looked, I created a basic mouth for the monster, which I later realized made the whole monster look derpy and lazily made. But this is what I ended up with. To be honest, I wasn't too unhappy with this, but I wasn't sure where to go with it next. So I colored the monster and gave it some arms, which I don't know why or when I deleted them. And I even fashioned this decent little cape for it, but something still looked off. Back in Blender, I got to work on a new iteration of the monster's face, ditching everything I hadn't liked about the first one. I wanted the stem to look like it was actually a part of the monster, so I gave it a base and scaled it up a bit. Then I got to work on the face, which would be very different from the last one. This monster's mouth would be more detailed and angular, and its eyes would be straight up triangles instead of circles, as having a sharp edged mouth on a model with circular eyes just looked inconsistent. After a good hour of modeling, I realized that I'd vastly improved the pumpkin from the last version. This one actually kind of looked like a Halloween monster, which made me really happy. But before I could build, animate, and add sound effects to this monster, I had one more thing to do. To improve the creep factor on this monster, I created a new simple hand with 3 fingers that would move independently, as the hands used on my previous monsters were all static objects. So here I was, with this pumpkin that I liked a lot and a body I didn't like at all. I decided that experimenting was my only option, so I got to work completely remaking the body, and I'm happy that I did, as this one really looked spooky and had a cool lanky look to it. So I got it all rigged up and began animating. Now, I'm not going to show me animating the monsters, because I'd already recorded 5 hours of footage for this video, and my hard disk couldn't cope with any more lengthy recordings. But I can show you a small clip of each animation. Here's the idle animation. I took some inspiration from how a velociraptor would have stood, with its hands angled downwards and its legs bent backwards from the ankle. Then there's the walk animation, which I will admit has gone through a number of revisions from the first one I created, but I think it turned out rather good, and gives the monster a disturbing kind of lankiness. After that is the run animation. This is not by any means perfect, and I may remake it in the future, but it's alright for now. Here's the stunt animation. I wasn't sure what to do with it originally, but I thought it would be kind of funny if I turned it into just a regular pumpkin, and it turned out pretty well. Then there's the spawning animation, which looks pretty good in my opinion, but was actually quite challenging to make. Now, the animation you've been waiting for, the jump scare. My original idea was to have the monster grab you and eat you, but that just looked extremely goofy and messy, so I watched the animation I had over a few times, and suddenly I knew what I wanted to make. Here's the finished version. Basically, the monster headbutts you to knock you out, and I think it's a bit goofy, but it also gives the monster some more personality. Hey there, I'm the Red Geek, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then I'd appreciate a like, as these videos take a lot of time and effort to make, but they're worth it, and I love making them. If you're working on anything, or simply want to chat, then post a comment down below. It encourages me greatly when you guys chat to me, and I just love it. Geek out!